Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrible General Health System's Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda.
All right, joining me now, Coach Laury Dupont. And of course, they're going to give all his records and his standards tonight, but just trying to capture, Coach, in this career, you've honored so many people. Just recently, y'all honored Coach Pat Zush, and it's going to be pretty emotional that you're in the same class with the guy that coached you in high school, and he talked about how good a quarterback you were, but just your thoughts on what tonight means for you.
Oh, it's a very humbling night. First of all, it's the icing on the cake. I guess it's because of the accolades in the career and the legacy that I left at West St. John, Thibodeau High. But never thought I'd be in Hall of Fames.
Yeah.
And I'm honored to be in this one. It's even more special than Louisiana Athletic Association because it's our area. You know?
Yeah, and isn't it neat that when you break it down, you got half from Lafourche, half from Terrebonne, and everybody's conscious of what everybody else has done, but you can't really always be together in a social setting, so it's fun to rub elbows.
Oh, absolutely, and to see all the past inductees and the ties that I had with all of them. I mentioned a few names in my talk tonight, but I mean, it's amazing how the coaching carousel goes around and around. Everybody touches each other's lives, and good friends were developed in them years.
Now look, it wouldn't be an interview with Laury Dupont if I didn't tell the audience, especially those in Thibodeau, I want to know who shopped for him, because look at those duds he's got on. This is unbelievable. Who picked that out for you?
This suit is about 15 years old, and probably be the last time I wear it. You know, I'm not much of a suit person. I'd love to wear short pants tonight, but it's not the attire.
No, those bike shorts just wouldn't do good over there. But just, you know, emotionally, like you said, you've been honored a lot, and you've been talked about a lot, but when did it sort of hit you that, hey, man, this is a pretty big deal tonight?
Well, once it got out that I was being inducted, the phone calls, the people that rang and congratulated me, it bring back a lot of memories, you know. A lot of coaches, a lot of that I competed against that said well-deserved, and you never think it's going to be me, but and I look at the ones that are inducted before me, we had the who's who. And I guess I'm involved in that now, and I'm proud to be part of the fraternity and sorority.
Coach, congratulations. Enjoy your night, because you're well-deserving.
Well, I appreciate it, Martin. And like I used to tell everybody else, I'm going to leave it like this. Go River Parish football.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
We grew up off Menard Street and then Blake Court Street, which is downtown, right by St. Joseph Elementary. And then we moved to Belmead Subdivision, which is right behind Peltier Park. So I actually lived in 3 different houses when I was growing up. Born, raised, and gonna die in the city of Thibodeau. We had a great neighborhood. Tetro Street and Blake Court Street had a bunch of kids at the same age. Every time it would be bad weather, we had football games. Of course, we always played slop, you know, that's what we did. We had a big playground because Blake Court was right off of Thibodeau College yard, and we had a huge yard to play sports, and that's what we did and every spare time we had. One of my best friends lived on Tetro Street, and of course, Joe Fake. And me and Joe Fake did everything together growing up in Thibodeau College days. We played all sports. Football, basketball was our 2 major sports. Track wasn't there yet for us in the younger ages. Baseball was. I wasn't that good in baseball, but I played. Played mostly because Joe Fake was really good in baseball, and we did everything together. The guy that was very instrumental in my life growing up when I was little was my old brother, Joan. He was my role model. He was athletic. He was very athletic, and I looked up to him. My heroes was a guy named Mike Duncan and Ski Russell, two Thibodeau High pupils. Of course, Donald Schwab was a big hero for mine. And the Rodrigues, all the Rodrigue family, the clan, I call them the clan, they all played college athletics and they were all good. But Ruffin Rodrigue was, senior, was a very good ball player, and he was one of my heroes growing up. I played football, basketball, and when it came to the spring, I didn't do too much with track at a young age. I did golf. I was very, I played golf very young. My uncle J.B. Dupont taught me how to play golf. So I won plenty golf tournaments in that area, and I loved to swim. I was a good swimmer. We didn't have the swim teams at that time, but we swam a lot. I just loved throwing the football. When we used to play football and games and everything, I mostly played quarterback when we were playing two-hand touch, you know. And so when we got to the sport itself, by the time we got to the middle school area, we had a really good middle school team. And actually the culmination of that year was in my 8th and 9th grade year, we beat West, which was the big team at the time, and we beat them at the end of the year. And so when I went to the varsity level, I was always playing quarterback. The fondest memories was we had a great coaching staff. Coach Zush, who was going to be inducted, was my role model. I looked up to him. I believed in everything he told me. To us, he was God. The 1967 team, we probably was our best athletic team. And so we saw the highs and the lows. Us and Vanderbilt were playing the semifinals that year, and we were hoping that we would each win in the semis and meet in a championship, and that would have been something unbelievable. Eventually, Vanderbilt lost the night before, and we got beat the next day. From that night on, our junior class said we don't want to have this feeling again, and we committed ourselves 100% from the night we got beat against Kinder. At the time I was being recruited by Tulane. It was me and another quarterback out of Terrebonne High School, and eventually they took the quarterback from Terrebonne High School. Then I took an official trip to Northeast Louisiana, and offered me a scholarship. Coach LeBlanc did, and the head man. It was really a quick decision, a decision I made completely on my own. And you know how they press you the last day you're there on a visit, and I verbally committed to them. My mom and daddy dropped me off up there, and they went on vacation. I think I beat them back home. I didn't stay long. I stayed 3 days. That's something I had to live with for the rest of my life. I didn't realize that you represent not just yourself and your family, but the whole community. And they had a lot of disappointed people, and I was kind of hurt and disappointed that I let them down. I sat out a year. My wife was working she wasn't my wife at the time. Jan was working at Nicholls State University, and Coach Russell Galliana had a club football that they had started at Nicholls State, and begged me to go out to play. The following year, I did play club football, and we had a really good season. We had some really good athletes. And then Nicholls State was starting their first football program, and they offered me a scholarship. So I made a kind of a 360, and I was lucky to play back at home. But my true passion was always wanting to be a coach. I wanted to be like Coach Zush, and he was my role model all through my younger years, and to the day he's still my role model. The last scrimmage we had the week before we played Mississippi College, I had a bad injury. I got sacked at the quarterback by a great person locally in this area, Alan Danos. To the day, I still say that. I still brag about Alan. But they offered me a great opportunity to just switch my football scholarship to golf. And they agreed to it. And Coach Sanders was the golf coach and the head basketball coach. And so It was a win-win opportunity for both me and now Jan, my wife at the time, and it was a great opportunity to continue and have a scholarship for my education. After my third year in college, I had to make a decision what I wanted to do. I told my father that, so he's asked me what I want to be, and I told him I want to be a high school football coach. And I'll never forget that. He was shaving like he does in the old days and smoking his little cigarette, and then he just said, "Okay, son, if that's what you want to be, that's fine, but you're going to be a poor person." And I said, "Yes, sir, but I'm going to be a happy poor person." And so that was my dream, and I never looked back. I graduated at Christmas, and Dr. Spike Bergeron got me a job at Donaldsonville Junior High, and I actually coached a boys basketball team right out the chute, and we went 19-0. So the opportunity came about where at the end of that beginning of 74 school year, I had the opportunity to go back and coach for Coach Zush, my life dream. I coached for 2 years at E.D. White, 74 and 75. I left in 76, the end of the school year. Coach Zush had left at Christmas time, so I didn't want to be there anyway without Coach Zush. Taught 1 year at Terrebonne High School. Great year. We had a good season. We went 7-3. We got beat in the second round of the playoffs. And Kelly was a really good football coach to us, and I learned a lot. Coach Zush ended up getting the head job at Thibodeau High, and first person he called was me to come back. That was a tough decision to make, but again, my lifelong dream was to continue to coach with Coach Zush. So I came back to Thibodeau High. I stayed with Coach for 5 years. Coach stepped down, and I continued as the head coach and AD for 5 years at Thibodeau High. My last year at Thibodeau High, we went 3-7 or 2-8, and they decided to make a change. So I had plenty of opportunities to go other places, which was great. I was wanted. West St. John played in our jamboree all the time. They had the best looking athletes you ever want to see. They were just disorganized. That's the best way I'm gonna say it. They wasn't prepared for the jamboree to play. They had everybody coming back. They got beat that year. The starting backfield, which I was gonna be the offensive coordinator. The starting backfield all ran 4.5 in the 40, bench press over 300 pounds. So that didn't hurt. They supported their school 100%. Their whole, believe it or not, besides the adults working jobs, their number one priority was West St. John's athletics and football. I mean, the tradition started and it never ended all the years I was there.
And they welcomed us into their family like no other.
Had a great support team, had great administrators, had a great coaching staff that stayed together with me all my years there. That's amazing, you keep your whole staff.
He knew how to mold the players and the staff to make it a one, as Bebe would say, one heartbeat. Now, that was Laury, and he was pretty sharp about the X's and O's.
That was a special night because when we played Riverside during the regular season, we got beat, but we had a couple of guys, the key guys that were hurt, our fullback and our middle linebacker, and two better athletes who didn't play that night, and they were both back. And so Riverside knew that we had a very good chance of beating them, and we did. Once I finished my drop, we had a new principal coming in. It was just right for me to retire. And I did it, I thought I did it the right way, and I still do. I never look back. For half a year, I worked at Duncan Sports. Lo and behold, my next door neighbor, their father-in-law was a guy named Donald Swab. And Swab used to always be at the house when I was cutting my grass. He said, "Hey, man, Coach, can I talk to you?" I said, "Yeah, Coach." I said, "What's going on?" He says, "You need to go over to Vanderbilt and apply for this job." And I said, "Coach, I'm not ready to get back into coaching. I'm happy what I'm doing." And, "No, you need to do that." A week or two later, Coach Wild's back at the house again. I think he went there purposely to see if he'd see me in the yard. I'm working. He says, "You didn't go apply for the job yet?" I said, "No, sir." He says, "Got a week left. You need to go apply for the job." And so I had to go back to the school to follow up on my athletic sale. And lo and behold, the secretary over there convinced me to take the application. I did apply for the job, and so be it. I was the head coach at Vanderbilt. So it was a lot tougher situation. And then I became the AD too after a half a year, which not enough hours in a day, let's put it to that. It's tough to be an AD at Vanderbilt Catholic or ED White because they play so many sports. Most fun kid I ever coached was Patrick Jackson. Patrick Jackson was a running back for us who played for Louisiana Tech. The best overall athlete, by far, talented athlete. That's hard to say because you got positions. Tyson Jackson was great. Elijah McGuire was special at Vanderbilt. You know, to be blessed to coach Eric Anderson and Ruffin Roderick Jr. was a lifelong dream too. I mean, I had the best fans and the best in the area. That was my family. They didn't miss a thing. Scott and Michelle and my wife, they didn't miss any games all the years. And that's a plus. When you got a coach's wife that's a fan.
We rode bicycles together, and we were young. We were like 6th, 7th grade when we said we were going to be girlfriend and boyfriend. And then it got to where we both went to ED White. So we used to walk to school together in the morning.
Childhood sweethearts, Blake Court Street. She lived across the street from our family house, and riding our bicycles as usual. That's what we did back in them days. And
He's so kind-hearted.
I wasn't good at handling adversity when I was young. You know, when I lost, I took it seriously. I thought you had to double up to catch up. And when I was winning, I took it for granted. But handling adversity was probably, my only regret was the way I handled it. Now, the older I got, I think I got better at it.
You would want him for your father. You would want him for a mentor, which he is to a bunch of people. And people don't realize how highly intelligent Laury Dupont is. He's a sharp cookie about books, but about how to treat kids, how to treat adults, how to motivate.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems, modern technology, and timeless caring. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
A lot of thanks and congratulations, and you got to say it in 2 or 3 minutes. So I'm gonna try to get through it as best as I can. I'd like to thank definitely Elmi and Stan, the first-class job they've done in setting this thing up with us and our family. Of course, I couldn't be here without God. God gave me the opportunity to have the career that I've had and the great family that I've had and supported me. Tough. When I was looking back at the inductees before us, before this year's class, and we got a great class going in with Jesse Miles, Dalton, Harry McCullough, Greg Harding, and Coach Zush, and myself. So proud to be in this class. I know most of them, either by friendship in the past or in coaching. I coached Greg for 1 year at Terrebonne High School. He was a great athlete and a great person. He still is today. Congratulations to this class. Of course, Coach Zush, Pat, is my role model. He's my second dad to the day. Every time I've had any kind of problems in life, I'd call Coach Zush. And he was just a a great supporter of me and my family. And I couldn't have had a better role model than him. And you ask that to everybody in your family or in life, who was your role model when you were growing up? Well, most of the time, because we either a teacher in a school or a coach. And Pat Zush was mine, and he's going in with me tonight, and I couldn't be more proud. The past inductees before me, man, they said it in the video best as I can. I was fortunate enough to coach Eric Anderson. He was definitely the most greatest. I call him the gentle giant. I call him the big Pollock. Everybody, he was the biggest man I've ever seen in high school, but he was the most gentle person. And he's inducted. I had the blessings to coach with Sandy Fusel. Work with Sandy and coach with Marsha Johnson. And these women are the who's who in their coaching careers. Scott Sanders, I had the opportunity to coach him at Thibodeau High in basketball. Scott didn't play football, but I also coached basketball at Thibodeau High. Competed against Tommy Hodson when I was a coach at Thibodeau High, and him at Central LaFouche. He was the greatest quarterback I've ever seen in high school. He's inducted into our Hall of Fame. Pop Gun, nothing more I can say is he was a great friend. He was a mentor. For a while there, when he was at H.L. Bourgeois, I almost took the head coaching job over there, to leave West St. John. Believe it or not, it was a great opportunity to get back at 5A, but it wasn't meant to be financially. Not that I didn't care to go. Coach Schwab, well, me and Coach Schwab go back. He was my hero growing up. And then we ended up competing against him when I was at Thibodeau High, and he was at H.L. Bourgeois. Jesse Miles was in the inductee class, was the greatest running back they had in high school at that time, went to LSU. And we never beat him. He's still running when I was at Thibodeau High. Very instrumental with me getting a job at Vanderbilt, too. Thank you, Coach. You know, you set goals, and I'm right at the end. You set goals with the kids. When you're in athletics, everybody has goals in athletics. And, of course, the kids that write goals down is, we want to win every game. We want to do the district championship. We want to win a state championship. That's all good and fine. And so we were fortunate enough to achieve a lot of those goals. My goal every year that I set to myself was very simple. Get the maximum effort out of every kid on my team every day. Because every kid is individually different from the next kid. But if I can get the maximum effort out of that kid every day and be prepared to coach him, I'm doing my job. I never thought about awards or accolades. I knew that individual awards come with team awards, and we were very successful. And I had plenty of awards going my way because it was a team award. And this is the number one team I got right behind me, my family. Without family, you have nothing. My wife and my two kids, Scott and Michelle at the time, they were a dream family for a coach. A lot of long hours during the season, a lot of ups and downs, not only wins and losses, but also being a psychiatrist with the kids, having problems at the house, and the coaches in the audience know what I'm talking about. And it's a tough job, and we kind of handle it. And I like to see the word, I call the word success. We develop success. Coach Zush always told me, treat every kid like they were your own. And I did, whether he was the best athlete or the worst athlete. I'm blessed again to be here with you tonight because of my family. Michelle, my daughter, has two kids, Janie and Jace, and my son-in-law, Jason. Before I step down, I'm receiving an award that's parish-wide. My son-in-law just won a major national award with the IT, with the state of Louisiana legislation. And he's going to receive that award in Indianapolis in August. It was a great honor. Congratulations, Jason. I'm very proud to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I really thank y'all for supporting me and my family and my career. And it's great to see all the people here tonight. And I love to kind of mingle with you as much as I can, but it's going to be a long night as it is. So thank y'all very much for coming out. And to be remiss, the last thing I'm gonna tell you, the most valuable player on my team every year was my wife, Jan, without a doubt.
All right, more to come. A lot more inductees in the Hall of Fame here at the Columns. So don't go away. Don't touch the dial. Don't switch off of Facebook or YouTube. You're going to recognize a lot of these names.